Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello, dear students. Welcome to another lecture. In this class, we are going to begin with Lord of Flies, a novel written by William Golding. Now, this novel is a part of fiction for Class 11th Alternative English Nagaland Core. And in my videos, I shall cover the detailed summary of this novel along with the major themes, as well as discuss the character sketches and a few important questions that may be expected from the point of view of examination. So without much ado, let us begin with the novel now. Now before we move on to the chapter-wise summary of this novel, let me give you an overview of what it is. Now, this novel is basically about a group of boys who were abandoned on an island. Okay? Now, basically, these boys were evacuated from a war. They were on a plane, and these boys, the plane that these boys were on, that plane was attacked by the enemies. As a result of it, their plane crashed on an island they knew nothing about. Being surrounded by no adult, these boys decided that they are going to make an organization among themselves for the smooth functioning of whatever things they have to carry forward. Jack and Ralph. These were the two major people and the two boys that we are going to talk about. Ralph was the protagonist of the story. He has been portrayed as somebody who wanted to move ahead towards civilization. He was finding ways and means to attract people towards that island so that they would be saved. On the other hand, Jack is an antagonist. He's a negative character who's been put up in this play. He was more towards the savage side. He was very wild, brutal, aggressive, ready to fight and kill anybody. So this was the contrasting character of these two boys. There is another very important character in the story, and that is Simon. Simon was the wisest and the most sensible boy among the entire lot. And he has even been compared to Jesus Christ in the story. Because Jesus Christ sacrificed his life trying to teach fools what was correct. So trying to impart fools wisdom was the reason for Jesus Christ to lose his life. And that is exactly what happened with Simon as well. He was trying to tell these boys something that was the truth, something that was sensible and wise and intelligent. But these boys, who were a bunch of fools, ended up killing him. So as the story progressed, we see that these boys, rather than moving towards civilization and betterment, became so brutal and wild that they ended up fighting with each other, ready to kill each other for anything. But at the end, they were saved. There was, somebody who managed to find them, and they were saved at the end. So the entire journey of these boys and how did they survive together on that island is what we shall be reading in this. So let us start with the summary now. Now in the first chapter, as we can see on our screen, as I have told you, these were a group of boys whose plane crashed. Their plane crashed into an island which was totally unknown to them. And therefore, the story opens with an English schoolboy who was 12 years of age, and he was trying to explore the jungle. He was trying to figure out what all was there in the jungle. There was a second boy who soon joined the first boy. The first boy was tall, he was good looking and had a very athletic body, while the second boy was a little fat and wore spectacles. Now the two boys were discussing what had happened and how did they get into this jungle. Now they were sure that the plane that they were onto, that was shot by the enemy, and the plane crashed and landed on this island, and all the adults who were there on the plane were killed. They started wondering, they started thinking if there were other boys also, the other boys who were there in the plane along with them, whether they survived the crash or not. Now the fat boy, he asked the tall boy his name, and the tall boy introduced himself as Ralph. But instead of asking the name of the fat boy, Ralph just started to roam around trying to look into the jungle. The fat boy was following Ralph, but because of being asthmatic, he has asthma, so he could not keep up with his pace. We know that the tall boy, whose name now we know was Ralph, so being athletic in nature, Ralph was obviously quicker and the fat boy was finding it difficult to catch up with him. When the fat boy started eating some fruits, Ralph just went away from there and he found a beautiful beach there. The fat boy also was able to find Ralph following the trail, and he proposed this idea to Ralph that they should call a meeting and make a list of all the boys who have survived the crash. He then told the tall boy that the school people called him Piggy. So the second boy, whose name we know is Piggy. Ralph made fun of this boy. He started laughing at his name, but Piggy begged Ralph not to tell his name to anybody. Now the two boys, that is Ralph and Piggy, they continued to explore the jungle and now the beach. And Ralph found a hole, which was kind of a swimming hole. And he told Piggy that his father, who was in Navy, will surely come to find him and to save him from here. But Piggy was very sure that nobody knows where they have landed. And then Piggy again came up with the same thought that they will have to do something. And then Ralph found a conch shell. Conch shell is a white colored shell which can be blown. When you blow into the conch shell, there is a sound that comes out of it. So Ralph saw a huge conch shell and Piggy told him that they could use that conch shell as a trumpet. They should blow it, and whosoever will hear that will obviously gather near them. So Piggy could not blow it because of asthma, so Ralph blew and a huge voice came out of it. All the boys who were there on the beach, around them, they gathered, and the boys were in the age group of 6 to 12. They were not older than that. There were one set of twins also, whose names were Sam and Eric. There were a group of the older members of the choir. Choir is a group of musicians, so there was a choir group as well, and all of them were dressed in black. Their leader, the leader of this choir was Jack. He had red hair and he wanted to be the head of the meeting. Now one of the boys who was a part of the choir, whose name was Simon, as I told you, he fainted. He became unconscious. Then Jack told everybody else that the one who was next to him was called Piggy, and everybody started laughing at Piggy and started making fun of him. Now the boys then decided that in order to proceed further peacefully, they should have a leader among them. And everybody decided to vote, and everybody else except for the boys who were a part of the choir voted for Ralph. So only the choir members voted for Jack while the other boys voted for Ralph because he was the one who had blown the conch and collected them. Now Ralph wanted to keep Jack happy, so he said that the group of boys who were the choir group members, they were going to be the hunters, and the group of hunters will be led by Jack. Now Ralph then decided that it was very important for the boys to explore the island, to look around the island. He and Jack, they both go. Ralph ignored Piggy. Piggy had been winning. He had been complaining that he also wants to be a part of this search. But he was ignored, and the third person who joined them was Simon. So Jack, Ralph and Simon went on to explore the beach. Ralph, Jack and Simon, they actually enjoyed a lot while exploring, and then, they pushed a huge boulder, a big piece of rock off the cliff, off the mountain cliff, and they thought it was a very big achievement, a very big accomplishment for them. The boys then climbed to a high peak on the island, the highest that they could find, and they called that as the mountain from where they could see the island which was uninhabited. So that island was not habited, it was not, nobody lived on that island. Uninhabited means there was nobody who lived on that island. They could also see the place where the plane in which they were, that had crashed. Ralph said that this island belongs to us. Now the boys came down the mountain, and on the way they spotted a wild pig that was caught in the vines. Vines are those plants, that grow just like creepers. They have got huge branches. So there was a pig that was caught in the vines. Jack pulled out a knife, a pocket knife, and before striking, he paused, and the pig escaped from there. So Jack wanted to kill that pig, but the pig ran away, and he decided that next time he is not going to hesitate before killing a pig.